We have former England international Matt Jarvis. Matt, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah.
Good to hear. Good to hear. It's sunny at the moment. I'm feeling quite positive, which is the weather recently has been all over the place, so it's quite nice. A bit of natural light, which kind of helps the video. But anyway, we've got so much to talk about. To be honest, you've had a very very good career, long career, and you're still going. I thought we'd just go straight into your early years as a kid. And I was thinking, what is your earliest memory of football? What can you remember first getting into?
Well, I've got an older brother, so it was always just playing with him and his mates. Always playing with like the older kids, really. Whether that was over the park or he would have a game, I suppose, just locally, and I'd be going and watching, and then just kicking a ball around on the side of the pitch. And that's sort of my earliest sort of memories of going out and playing. And then I actually then started playing a year above myself because I was sort of used to sort of playing with the older kids, and I don't think there was a team at my age, so I just sort of joined in with the year above because my brother
When you
was at the same sort of club but the years above. So it was just, I think it was more my mum and dad just eased for me to be there at the same time as him.
what age then were you? When did you kind of start playing? Then you said you played a year above. What kind of age would that
Yeah,
be? Can you remember?
that'd be about 5 and 6.
Oh
Yeah,
wow! So you
5 and
properly
6.
then you did really start off then at a young age then.
Yeah.
And then I've done a bit of research. I've seen you started off with your brother at the same club as you just said. What age were you scouted then to play for an actual team then?
Yeah, well, I just played locally, and then I actually got scouted. I went to Millwall, would you believe? And I was there for about 6 years, so it must have been well, about 10-ish. Yeah, so about 10, I got scouted and went there. And I was there for about 6 years until trying to get a youth team contract, like YTS back in the day, it was called. But yeah, for me at 16, got told it wasn't good enough, and it was it's a huge sort of I suppose knockback. For me, it was a massive confidence. My confidence took a massive hit, especially being at that age, getting told you're not good enough. And at that point, it's quite a critical age for me. I was sort of stuck whether to thinking to sort of just carry on playing locally with my mates or to actually give it a go and go somewhere else. So yeah, that's where it all sort of started for me.
I'd say I can only imagine it's probably be both really strong-minded at the age of 16. Because I can tell you now, if someone told me I wasn't good enough at something at the age of 16, I'd have probably just cried, to be honest, and just rolled over and just hid in the corner. So what kind of did you rely on? What kind of gave you that drive to think then I could move on? And obviously your career did go just straight up, but what gave you that drive to really think you can push on and you are good enough and you can still do it?
Well, to be fair, at that time, the same day I got released, I had a call from the Gillingham scout, a guy called Bernie Dillon, and he was like, "Look, we've seen you. We want you to come down straight away to come on trial at Gillingham." And there was a game the next day. He was like, "Come and play in the game." I was like, no. I think it was all too much right then for me. But he was, to be fair to him, he was brilliant. He kept on calling me, and then about a week later, I then went on trial, and I was terrible, to be honest. I really was, but that's because my confidence took a massive hit, and being a wide player, you have to be you have to make things happen. You have to be full of confidence to go and do
Yeah.
this, and I wasn't at the time, and I played, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 games for them on trial. I didn't really play my best football. It wasn't particularly great. But luckily, they saw something and offered me a contract. And then that was it for me. It's just something, just clicked for me. And I just went from strength to strength.
I was about to say you must have done something right, surely, like to get to still go the way you did. And really wanted to hone in on that because a lot of my audience is quite a young age, and a lot of kids are playing for academies that people I've spoken to and have been let go. If you could give like one bit of advice to anyone who is let go, say from an academy at a
Yeah.
young age, what advice would it be?
well, football is based on opinions, and you just need to. You can take constructive criticism, yes, no problem at all. But for you, for me, it's all about you can only do the best that you can do. So if you go out there and give it absolutely everything, and you practice and you work and you do all of the training and everything that you could possibly do, you've got. You just sometimes it's a little bit of luck being in the right place at the right time. But if you give it absolutely everything, you've got no regrets, and there's nothing more you can do. You just can got to make sure that you give yourself the best opportunity to give yourself the start to go and play anywhere. But don't give up. You got to give it absolutely everything, and you got to live and breathe by it. And that's you miss out on a few little things, but it's the rewards are amazing.
So yeah, the sacrifice and the rewards it's kind of what you want. Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, I will hopefully anyone who's watching that, just go for it, guys. Yeah, I have a lot of people who've been asking me. So when I told them that you were coming on, and after I'd done a bit of research, I mentioned everything, and everyone said get the advice, because obviously a lot of kids are getting let go.
Yeah, it's
time,
really, there is, unfortunately, statistically wise, it's terrible at that age. That's when a lot of players do get released, and then that's the difference is what happens after that. But it's it's being confident in yourself to go, no, I am going to give it my all, and try, and you can only do the best that you can do. And if that's not enough, then that's not enough. But a lot of the time, you can really go, and confidence is a huge part of that.
I was about to say, yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you. I take that advice myself, even though I'm 20 now. It's not like I'm ever going to make it as a footballer. I think you can take that advice, what you've just said, into any walk of life, to be honest.
Jamie Vardy was 24 when he then started moving.
Jamie Vardy had pace. Jamie Vardy had
pace.
You have not seen me play football. I can tell you now, Sunday League, I'm happy with that. I've only just got back into it, and I think that is my level. I'm still feeling it now, and I played on the weekend. So I'm no Jamie Vardy, I'll tell you that now.
We all feel like that. Don't worry about
that. So then you mentioned you went from Millwall after being released and let go. You went on to Gillingham. So was that quite, as you said, it kind of a fast process? And so, if you don't mind me asking, if you think this is a rude question, you said it was the Y2?
YTS. That's YTS. Youth team contract, yeah.
Okay, I apologise if that's new to me. I've not heard that.
Yeah. So that's what it was called back in the day. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of wages would that have been, if you don't mind me asking? Like, would it be like similar to an apprenticeship wage or a training contract? Or
I can tell you, because you got a 3-year youth team contract. My contract was, my first year was, I think it was £45 a week. Second year was 40. Second year was 45. Third year was 55, I think.
Jeez. So anyone who does think then like this footballing lifestyle at the start, it doesn't just come to you like that. That's crazy.
No, not at all. But luckily for me, I signed pro in my second year. But I went up to £300.
That's still good. It's pretty good at that age.
I was absolutely buzzing. Could
you remember what you did with your first paycheck then at that £300?
God no. To be fair, I used to. I'm my father's son, I suppose. I saved and saved and saved because I was living in digs at the time. So I didn't need to spend any money really. I used to go back, weekends or something like that. So that was all the only money that I needed to spend. So I used to save all my money.
Sensible. There you go. Some more advice. You're literally just dishing out the advice, aren't you? So what kind of age then did you get offered that pro contract then?
I was 17. So for me at Gillingham, as I said, like sort of everything just sort of clicked into place. My confidence when I was flying in my first year as the youth team. Scoring goals. I actually played a lot of it up front in my first year, and then I actually went on tour. I went on pre-season tour with the first team at the start of my second year in the youth team, and did all of pre-season, and I did really well. Scored, I think, and I did really well anyway. And then I sort of started to train with the first team and was getting into training with them a lot more. And then I just turned 17, and I was then I got into the team and made my debut, and then it signed my contract not long after that, and and it was just amazing experience to go from being let go to pretty much just over a year later to playing in the Championship. It was incredible.
was about to say. So were you always a winger then? I know you just mentioned then about being a striker. So sorry, I didn't realise that you'd ever played in any other position other than on the wing.
Nah, well, I played on the wings when I was on trial at Gillingham, and all in Millwall I was on the wing. I played on the wing for Gillingham in the youth team, but there was a few opportunities to have to play up front, and I was quick, so it was perfect. You know, the ball went over the top, I just ran on, and tried to get the goal. But I did play quite a few times up front in the youth team, but yeah, my whole sort of professional career, I was always on the wing.
I was going to say that was going to be one of my questions today. Have you ever played in any other position? So there we go. You've got it for me. And I was looking through your record then at Gillingham, and specifically 2005 was the season where when I was looking at that the season when you seemed to be just scoring for fun, to be honest. And was that the season when the interest from other clubs started to come in?
Yeah, I think so. I think, it was just, for me, it was incredible to play with the likes of the older players, experienced players that were, when I made my debut in the Championship, they were exceptional players and that played in the Championship. They were really experienced players. So that was my grounding, I suppose, that this is what it means to play for the club. This is what it means to play in the Championship. And I had that for the first sort of 2 years, really. And then we got relegated, and then unfortunately, obviously then it was just a completely different team. We had a whole change of squad, and that's the sort of the season I sort of then was. Obviously, I was playing week in, week out, playing in League One, and I just hit the ground running, scoring. I started the season. I think I was like in the top, one of the top scorers in the league after about 6-7 games. It was like a great start.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's sort of when everything sort of started to gain a bit more interest.
And how old would you have been at this point then? I'm just trying to put this into perspective.
I'd be about 18, 19, about 18, 19.
Okay.
18,
that explains then all the interest, because whenever I've read up about it, it seems to be everyone seemed to be interested. Can you remember any clubs other than, obviously we know with Wolves coming in, were there any other clubs that kind of really did come forward at any point before?
Yeah, I think there was like Ian Holloway at Plymouth, I think was one of them. I think Nottingham Forest was another. I think there was a couple of others, but I can honestly tell you at the time I knew that obviously the Gillingham made it clear that I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And my head was certainly on that. I was playing week in, week out. I was only young. I was just sort of getting my feet under the ground and trying to improve as a player. So it wasn't looking at who was interested at the time. Obviously, it's nice to see
it's a compliment, isn't it? Yeah.
Interested. It's whoever says it, they don't is a complete liar, because you do, and it's nice. It's nice to be wanted, or to be seen to be wanted, and so. For me, I knew that season I wasn't going to be going anywhere anyway. So it was just about making sure that I was performing for Gillingham, and ultimately I needed to improve and get better and enjoy what I was doing.
Yeah, it's brilliant that they threw you in at such a young age. I didn't realise it was as young as they did. I can only imagine the experience 17, you got there just kind of set you for your whole career, and especially in the lower leagues and with the experienced players.
Yeah, that's what I mean with the players that I had around me. They were amazing. I was very fortunate in the sense that I was a young 17-year-old kid, but I had them sort of training grounds working, just little hints and tips, and bringing it back to reality. Like you're not playing in the youth team anymore. You're playing on a Saturday, and if you don't win and you don't get like a win bonus, some people are struggling to pay their mortgage. That's that was the seriousness of the games, and that's what was going on. And you're sort of like, oh wow, okay, you need to be on it. It's that sort of side of things as well.
Okay, I can imagine that's a lot of added pressure, but then again, as you said, it does kind of put everything into perspective. I do get. Were you still living at home at that point then when you were playing first team?
No, I was still in digs. I was in digs for the first sort of 2-3 years I was there.
Okay.
Yeah, funny enough, little thing for you. My digs lady, who I lived with for nearly 3 years, was actually Ryan Bircham. Him and his family. So I lived with Ryan Bircham and his mum and his brother. Yeah.
What are the chances of that? That's completely left field.
Because he was at Gillingham at the time, as in the youth team, and then when I was then playing as a pro at Gillingham, he then signed for Chelsea. So
Oh wow,
crazy.
that is crazy. Do you keep in touch?
I do, yeah. We don't live too far away, so I
That's
still see
crazy.
him every now and
That's,
again.
I'd say he as well has had a brilliant career as well. But yeah, what a chance! I was not expecting that. I didn't see that one
Oh,
coming.
there you go. Another little
I'd say,
fun fact for you.
I'm about to say it's quite
Yeah.
interesting. And then I know you mentioned then all that at that time you kind of were just going from strength to strength and learning everything and kind of just learning your trade as a winger at Gillingham, and other clubs were coming in and were showing interest at that point. What time did you really feel like you could make that step up to with no disrespect to Gillingham, move on to a potential, as you said, Forest and Wolves and Plymouth, bigger sides? When did you think, oh, this is my moment?
Well, I think for me, I was playing in League One. I was doing really well. I was named in the team of the year. So I felt like I was obviously doing well.
Yeah.
And my contract, was up at Gillingham in that summer. The chairman had come out and said that they'd offered me the best contract anyone's ever been offered at that young age. But I don't know. For me, it was all about, I felt like the time I had absolutely loved my time at Gillingham. It was a perfect place for me to be, and they gave me that opportunity, and the fans were amazing. But I felt like I needed to move on to further my career, and that's what happened. At the end of the season, my contract was up, and I was obviously not on a Bosman because I was under the age of 24. But it was going to probably go anywhere to tribunal, but in the end, I went to Wolves, and Gillingham agreed a fee, and that was that.
I was about to say, at least you feel like you've given back and helped the club that set the
Well,
foundations for
they
your
also
career.
they also had a sell-on clause. So later on, when I then went to West Ham, they signed pretty much a whole new team and got promoted. So
Well, there you go. So you
it's
really have
amazing.
helped them then. It's all down to you then.
Yeah.
Was it then with the decision to go to the Wolves, when you, as you mentioned, with the other clubs coming in, what was it really that sold you to really, that you believed in the process going to the Wolves? What is it the Wolves had that
I will
thought?
I will tell you exactly that. So great story. I was packed, bags were packed. I was going on holiday with my mates. I was just about to leave to go to the airport. I got a call from my agent saying Mick McCarthy wants to meet me in Portugal. Not the next day, the day after that. I was like, brilliant, fine. Didn't go on the holiday, met Mick McCarthy. I flew out in the morning, met him, and once I met him, there was no other place I was ever going to go. I would say he is the best manager I've ever worked for. For me personally, he was absolutely fantastic. Had a huge, huge role in my improvement and development as a player. And as soon as I met him, he sat me down. We had a bit of bite to eat, and was just like, "Look, this is what I want to build at Wolves. This is how I want to do it. This is why I want you to come." Obviously, he was like, "Do you have any questions?" I was like, "Not really. This is, what can I ask you, really?" So, it was as soon as I'd met him, there was no other place I was ever going to go. I flew back that day, went straight up to Wolves, got shown around Molineux. Literally, my contract was pretty much, that was it, done. It wasn't really no negotiations. It was like, this is it. Yep, fine, brilliant, let's go.
So it's quite a fast process though.
And then it gets better, because then I actually signed my contract sort of that next day, pretty much. At the stadium, I signed with the club secretary, who then, funny enough, was going to the airport. So I jumped on a lift with him and his wife from signing with him, went to the airport. He was on the same flight as me to go and meet my mates. We went to Marbella. So I flew out, I signed my contract, got a lift with the club secretary to the airport, got on the same flight as him to Marbella, and then he went one way, I went the next way with my mates, and
That's crazy.
absolutely amazing.
Oh, I can only imagine as well. Not only going away with your mates is brilliant anyway, but especially knowing you've just signed for the Wolves. Oh, I could imagine that holiday
Absolutely
would have been
incredible.
Oh wow.
It was
Especially,
amazing. They still give me a bit of jip for being late for the holiday, but easy actually.
I was about to say, surely they can let you off for that, surely.
Definitely no. It was just an amazing sort of week, I suppose. Just it all done and dusted in a week, and being able to enjoy it, and obviously what a club, what a manager, and it was just the perfect fit for me.
Yeah, I really wanted to. That's right. That story is brilliant. That is. I can only imagine that it really allowed it to sink in, because I can imagine not everyone was just over the moon for you. But with Mick McCarthy, I've got loads of questions. I think he's a really interesting character. Whenever I see, obviously, as a fan, seeing him from the outside, you only ever see Mick McCarthy in the interviews and the press, and he's quite an interesting character. That's how I'd put it. I find him hilarious to watch. I sometimes watch his best bits.
Yeah.
What was he like then as a coach? Was he like the character you see in the press, or was he different?
No, he had that aura about him. If he walked into a room, everyone was just like, yeah. But he was brilliant. He worked every single day. He was on the training field with his coaching staff, and they all worked together. He picked his team around him, was perfect. Terry Connor was amazing for me. I had Mick McCarthy, who was on the training pitch working, telling everyone exactly what he wanted. He was honest. That's the biggest compliment I could ever give him. He's honest. He tells you exactly what he thinks, he'll tell you if you're playing, he'll tell you if you're not playing, and he'll tell you the reason why. And what can you say to that? You can disagree with him, but he's telling you why you're not playing. Whereas, other managers, you say, oh yeah, you're not going to play this game, but you're going to definitely play the next game. How can you say that? Because the team could win, and then you can't change it. Like
Yeah.
He would just tell you exactly what was going on, and that's a huge, for any player to know that their manager is honest with them is huge. And he had the respect of all of the players for his playing and his managerial record. So it was a perfect sort of blend for us, and he was very good. At Wolves, he had the mix of having all of the young players that had never played in the Premier League or had not really played in the Championship, with a couple of older, experienced players that could educate and help the youngsters coming through. And that was a really unique skill to be able to do that.
Yeah, I was about to say that Wolves squad you did have at that time under McCarthy. When I was looking back through it, and I can't believe some of the players you had in that team were absolutely unreal team. We're looking back. One specific thing I wanted to chat. Kitely was playing at the time. Or you both played at the same time. And both of you brilliant wingers. When there are two good wingers in the side, is there any sort of competitive rivalry, or what's the kind of dynamic when you both know two?
I think for me, we were totally different players as well. I would say, I think we complemented each other. The team just gelled and worked so well together, and we played in the Championship. We played 4-4-2. We were just get it wide, getting in the box. We had two unbelievable we had more than two centre forwards. But we had you had Sylvan and Chris Wellamo. You had Sam Boakes and Andy Keogh as well. It was just perfect. Get the ball wide, get crosses in. You had Kites that used to sort of play wide, but also used to come inside a little bit and float into that little section. I was, you're out and out winger, stay wide, paint on your boots and get wide, get crosses in. It was just, and that's why it just worked for us. So don't get me wrong, you're always wanting to do well, and you always want to score goals and make assists. But I don't think there was ever, you were. It's good to have competitive, with it within the team, but it was never that was always like a massive positive for us. I think. And we all had our roles in the team, and mine and Kites' were to provide and score goals.
I was going to say, yeah. No, I could only imagine. I didn't think you were going to say there was any sort of rivalry, but I could just imagine. It's not many teams when you look at, say, clubs like Wolves where they have two such, like this, a comment to you, good wingers. You don't see many sides that have got two good wingers. There's always usually some flair players, but two good wingers. And I do remember it. The balls. I remember you just getting to the byline all the time. Like that's one of my memories of you as a player. But no, that's interesting to hear. What was Mick McCarthy's kind of management style? Was he good man management? Kind of, as you said, I know you said he was honest, but did he take you to the side a lot, or did he deal with everyone in big groups?
Well, this is what I mean. Him and his management team, the way he went about it, he would do all of the team sessions, would speak to you individually and tell you, like I said to you earlier, he had a huge role in my development as a player because, for instance, at Gillingham, I was an out and out winger. Stay wide, get the ball, run up and down, put crosses in. He would then work on me getting into positions that's just not quite always just on wide. You'd come inside, pick the ball up a little bit narrower, being in pockets of space defensively. Being in the right position. That was a huge thing for him. Tactically, he wanted his wide players to be in, helping out defensively. That's something that for me, I had to learn as well. And being in the right place in the box. If, for instance, Kites is crossing, I needed to be in the box, whereas before I probably wouldn't have been there. I'd probably just been hanging out wide a little bit too far. But this is the things that he used to bring to the table, but also his coaching staff, like Terry Connor was magnificent for me, and I still speak to both of them now. That they were that good for me, and I can't even not say, I've got Tony Daly, who was our fitness coach at Wolves, and for me, who could possibly be any better for me to be doing my fitness work as Tony Daly. He was like someone that, I played very similar to him, played on the left, was sort of more right-footed, had pace, winger. It was me. So he was brilliant for me. Gave me gym programs, used to take me out and do sprint training and different bits. It was just, that's where I developed my game, and that's all down to Mick and his coaching staff.
I was gonna say it all just seems to be, looking back now, it seems to be a perfect fit, and everything just went well. And that's why you went on to become a Wolves legend. Hence I remember wasn't it in the one season you won Players Player and Player of the Year?
Yeah, Fans Player, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Sorry, that's what I meant. Sorry, yes. I can only imagine that. Okay, then out the two, which one, if you had to pick one, would you prefer? Because I've been trying to think about this. Which one's more of a compliment?
I think, getting Players Player is always, getting voted by your peers is always a nice one to get, because, it shows that they actually think you've done well. It's brilliant. To get any trophy is amazing, and I was fortunate enough to get both. And the Fans Players is brilliant, because I still do have such an amazing connection with the fans, and I loved it. But as you said, if you're picking one, I think Players is always the best one to get.
Yeah, the respect. I can imagine. That's. I was about to say, and I know you definitely still have got a connection, because when I mentioned on social media that you were coming on, the Wolves fans just flooded in. That was the one fan base that just came in, and a lot of my mates and all my best mates are all Wolves fans, and they're all buzzing that you were coming on. So I do know what you mean with the Wolves fan. They just flooded. To be honest, my DMs are just all Wolves fans. Can you ask this? Can you ask this? Can you ask that? And I was like, whoa. But yeah, I have to admit, the Wolves fans do honestly still really do think of you fondly. Then was that the time then you got the call up for England? Was that all at the Wolves?
Yeah, that was at Wolves. Yeah. It was the first time since Steve Ball, so it was like a huge deal. Well,
it should have been in the
90s,
anyway, wouldn't it?
But yeah, I think it's like, I don't know, 20 years, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Can't remember. Yeah, so it was a huge deal. Absolutely amazing. It's it's every kid's dream to play for their country, and that I was able to live that. It was. I don't even know what else to say about it.
It is
amazing. Just amazing.
One question I did want to ask about that then, about getting into the England squad. How do you actually find out you're in the England squad? This is one thing that's always baffled me. How do you know?
Yeah. Well, we actually played Aston Villa away on the Saturday. It was an early kickoff, and we won 1-0, and I scored. I went home because it was an early kickoff. Yeah, I went home because it was an early kickoff, as in back down south. I then come back up on the Sunday afternoon-ish. I walked into my front door. It walked into the kitchen, and I got a text message on my phone and it was like said from the FA, it said like, oh, you've been called up to the England squad, blah 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 blah, and I was like, nah, someone's having a wind up here. Yeah, like so, I was like, nah, this can't be right. I knew I was in the preliminary squad, and I'd also been in the preliminary squads before, but I was never, it was never expecting to get in the squad. And then I got the text, and I was like, nah, that's a wind up. So about another minute, 2 minutes went by, and I was like, and then I get a call, and it was like a number that I had no idea what it was for. So I answered it. It's like, hi, and they were like, oh, it's whoever from the FA, just to let you know, it's not like a wind up. You have been called up to England. You're going to need this, this, and this. It's going to be announced on Sky Sports News in 45 minutes or whatever it was. And I was just like, I turned to my missus. I was like, I can't, like, this is, I've just been called up to England. Like, this is just insane. And then it was just like trying to phone, like tell my mum and dad, tell my brother, tell like my mates, like, I've just been, before it all gets announced on the Sky.
I was about to say, they don't give you much time, do they? 45 minutes. That's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. And the best part about that whole thing was I couldn't get hold of my mum and dad. Like, I tried both their mobiles, tried the house phone, nothing, couldn't get hold of them. And I chanced it. I spoke to my brother, and I was like, look, do you know where they are? He goes, no, I don't know, but call the local curry just up the road for them, because they might be there. And I just chanced it, called them. I was like, oh, hi, are my mum and dad in? They're like, yeah. I said, could you just chuck them on the phone for me, please? And then they come on the phone. I was like, oh, just to let you know, I've been called up for England. Like, what? Amazing, just absolutely incredible.
Wait, so to get sorry, so to get it, so your parents found out at the curry house.
I called the actual it's called the Rajdut at the time. Yeah, Rajdut. I called them up, and we'd been in there quite a few times. So I knew the owner, and I was just like, oh, hi, like, are my mum and dad in there? They're like, yeah. So I could just get them on the phone, and they were like, yeah, okay, yeah, because obviously they don't picked up their mobiles, didn't pick up the house phone because they weren't in. And then I told them in the Rajdut. Yeah,
they're probably like, leave us alone. We need to finish our food first. Like, give us a minute. That's brilliant. That's got to be up there with surely one of the best stories about someone finding out they've got the England call up. That's brilliant. I didn't realise
cool.
though.
I remember when I did get called up. Obviously, there was quite a few like papers and different things, and I told that story. And I think they did like a Raj do like a sort of a cuisine starting 11 from my, like, obviously telling my parents. So I think they did some sort of article about that. It's quite funny.
That's class, that is. Oh, I can't believe that. That's a brilliant story, that is. That's something you'll never forget, but it's something you can at least laugh about. So look, you got hold of them. Imagine they found out by Sky Sports.
Yeah, I know. Their phone would have been going off the hook. They would have finished their meal and looked at the phone and had like 50 missed calls and all sorts of messages.
One thing I couldn't believe though, when I was looking at you getting the call up for the England, in that England squad, you were the only uncapped player to get called up in that squad. What kind of, was it quite cliquey then when you first got there, or was it very welcoming? What was kind of your first experience?
No, it was very welcoming. Obviously, everyone else had sort of known or was in the same team as someone, because obviously a lot of them, it was Man U, Chelsea, that sort of Tottenham, that sort of type of club. They were all top sort of 6 clubs, so they'd all knew each other and all either been in the squads before or were just teammates. So I was sort of the one that was coming in like first day of school, don't know what to do, I know them all, but only from playing against them. I don't really know them that well. So it was all like sort of, do I sit here? What do I do? But they were absolutely brilliant with me. Great squad, really, really top players. So I was delighted, obviously, to be there. But I looked at it and I was like, well, you look at the wide players that were playing then in the Premier League, that were in top sides. You had like Ashley Young, Stuart Downing, Theo Walcott, Aaron Lennon, Milner, all of these players that were playing week in, week out, and I got in front of them. It was amazing.
Did you think in that moment you have finally hit the level that you've always dreamt of, or did you just see it as that moment, I want to push on further, or what kind of emotions were going at that point?
You have all sorts. Like for me, getting in that squad was just incredible. But when you're there, you don't want to just be there making up the numbers. You want to be there and actually, I didn't know if I was going to play or not. I wasn't in the. There was 2 games. The first one was Wales away at Cardiff, I think, and I wasn't in the squad. Well, I was in the squad, but didn't play.
Yeah.
And then the second one was against Ghana, and I was like, I had no idea whether I was going to play or not. But you wait and see. And obviously, when you're then you're out, you're warming up. And I remember it just like yesterday. I was I've never warmed up so much in my life. I was like. After half time, I literally stayed out the whole of the second half. Was just like running up and down, just looking back and just waiting for someone to just be like, "Come back, you're coming on." And I just remember just looking back, and then I can't remember who it was, but just was like, "Come back!" And I was like, "Me," and I was like, sprinted back. It's like getting shirt was off, getting the shirt. I was ready to go on. Like it was just, and then I remember just standing there. Obviously, the number went up. Jack Wilshere had come off. And I was just like thinking, right, don't look nervous, because the camera is going to be panned on you. So you're like, don't look nervous. Just look.
Try that cool. You're just playing for England. It's nothing.
Exactly. And then that was it. I remember like just running on the pitch and just being like, I've done it. No one can take this away from me. I've played for my country. This is like my dream come true. And then you're into the game, and it's just normal. You're at work. You're where you're comfortable. You're on the pitch. You're just then into the game. And for me, it was really good. I managed to get quite good, like an early touch. Got into the game. Took a few players on. Put a few crosses in. Got a few corners. Got a few free kicks. It was just really, really enjoyable. And you like everyone, you want to just keep going and keep getting more and more and more. But unfortunately for me, it was not to be. But I can never get taken away. I
was about to say no one can take that away, and it's a level that not many players do hit. And the fact that you've got there, you can only take that. You can take that with you. And forever.
The biggest, exactly. But the a massive highlight for me as well is like I could have been anywhere in the world playing to get my England cap, and I was fortunate that my one was at Wembley in front of 80,000 fans. All my family, all my friends were there. All of I had so many like Gills, Wolves, West Ham fans that have messaged you or said like I was at that game. And it was just amazing, absolutely amazing to be able to have done that at Wembley. Brilliant.
I have to admit, it does. It sounds like a movie, doesn't it? It is perfect. I can see how happy you're getting now just talking about it, and I can imagine you're never tired of telling that story. To be honest, I have to admit, I was about to say you do it, you do you. One thing though, I've always thought, and you came on for it was about half an hour, 25 minutes around that. Yeah. So how in the moment, obviously, you said you originally had all the emotions running through you, the fact I've come to England, my family, and everyone here, my friends. And you're on the pitch. Do you go into this tunnel vision then, and does time just go fast? Did the half an hour go like that, or did it go? I'm just wondering how it went.
Yeah, no, it does. It's hard to sort of explain, but when you that's what I've done for 15, probably about 15 years at that point. Maybe slightly less, but that's all I'd known. That's what I'd done every single day. I trained, gone and played games, trained, gone and so when you then go on the pitch, you're obviously trying to remember what the information they've told you, how they want you to play, the system, who you're picking up from corners, free kicks, that sort of thing. But you're just in. That's what you do. You're playing football. You're on the pitch. That's where you're most comfortable. That's where you are. So you do get nervous, yes, 100%. But once you get on the pitch, that's where you're most comfortable, and that's what you do, and that's where you relax, and that's when you just go and enjoy playing football. I know it's hard to sort of say that.
I completely get what you're saying.
But that's all everything that goes on before and the press conferences and all of that is all like it's totally different to just being comfortable and natural on the pitch. I think that's where everyone's just most comfortable, and once you're on there, it's like, cool, I can relax and go and enjoy playing football.
Which obviously, when you put it into perspective like that, I do completely get where you're coming from. But before, I'd never really stepped back and thought of it like that. I've always had the other mindset. Like, I completely get what you're saying now. That's changed my view on it. Then that's changed my view.
Oh well, there we go.
What was it like then? It was under Capello, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was Capello like then compared to, as we said, Mick McCarthy, then your perfect manager? What was it? Completely differing styles then?
Yeah, it's hard because obviously you're only there for sort of, I think it was 10 days, 2 weeks. So, as I said, yeah, I was my first sort of camp as such. So everyone else had been used to Capello. They'd been there. And I think this particular one, I think he was a bit more relaxed than on previous ones from what I get told. So, but he was, he didn't speak loads of English. He didn't speak loads to me. He when I first arrived, he was like, "Are you pleased to be here?" I was like, "Obviously, I'm absolutely delighted." He was like, "Oh, look, you were close, but that goal against Villa got you in the England squad." And I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, wow, wow, that's like like amazing." But
Yeah.
okay, and then after that, it wasn't. I didn't get loads of like contact. I suppose he obviously did the training sessions and. But like little things that stick out to me were like, everyone said how, strict and everything he was. But I think as I said, I think he was a bit more relaxed on this trip. But
Yeah.
it was still like everyone had to be there before you went into dinner, all the players, and then everyone had to be finished before you all left as a group. He had little things like that you were a team, so you went in together, you all went out together. It was certain things that, for me, I thought it was great. It's good. It brings that whole team togetherness, and it's hard to do that when you've only got 10 days together, when you're probably rivalries for the rest of it. But
Yeah, I was about to say, and especially we got all different groups.
Yeah, exactly. But what can I say here? His pedigree as a manager was incredible. So for me, looking at it personally, was what an amazing achievement to be called up by someone that's what he's done in his career. He's thought I was worthy of being called up and playing for England. So it was a massive compliment for me.
Yeah. No, I like that though. The fact that he's actually told you that Aston Villa goal. That's crazy. That is the fact he's told you that as well, because he didn't have to tell you that, did he? That the fact that what you'd literally just done before. That's crazy. That is. Okay, now moving on from England, because I could talk about England all night, to be honest. There's so many questions I wanted to ask, but we'll move on now. We'll kind of skip to the time when you were moving away from the Wolves to West Ham. Was this kind of rumbling on for a while? Did you know this was coming? Was there plans? How did it all go about?
Well, obviously, we got relegated. So for me, I'd obviously just been in the England squad. I wanted to get back and play in the England squad. And for me, I needed to be back playing in the Premier League. I think I'd sort of earned I earned the right with my performances to have a shot at being back in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think in the last sort of 13 games of the season, when I think I scored 6 or 7 goals, I was in really good form. I think, it was completely nothing against Wolves at all. I absolutely loved my time there. It was nothing to do with that. It was purely and simply for football reasons. I wanted to be back playing in the Premier League to try and get back in the England squad and ultimately to play at the best possible level I could for as long as I could. And that opportunity came with West Ham. They obviously put in quite a few bids that were all rejected. I did absolutely everything correctly, in my opinion. At Wolves, I didn't miss a training session. I was in, did everything properly. I played in every single game. I played in the Championship, and for the first few games, I there was nothing against anything. I was just purely simply wanting to go and better my footballing career. And that ended up with the last knockings that I knew that was going to be my last and final bid from West Ham, and I had to try and get that over the line, and in the end that's what happened.
Yeah, I was about to say, you must have done everything right, because the fact that Wolves fans still speak of you so fondly and still everyone is still so happy, because you do see with a lot of players when they do move on, things don't work out exactly how they did. So you obviously must have done everything right, because everyone still considers you a Wolves legend. But one question, talking about the fact you've been to West Ham, and I've just made the connection And you said you started off at Millwall, was it?
Yeah.
Was there anything? Did you have any friends back like that you knew or anything like that? Was there no
No,
connections?
no, nothing at all. I was, what was I, 10 till I was 15, 16. So, by this point, I think I'm at 24, 25.
Yeah.
So, no one at Millwall
Okay.
was
Yeah.
still there at the same time. So it was, no, and the fact that I got released made it all bittersweet, I suppose.
I was about to say, did that give you that extra kind of that little bit thing? Oh yeah, I've gone to West Ham. That's really showing one to Millwall for letting you go, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I was only wondering just because I know that the hatred between the two sides. I'd only just made the connection. I thought, oh,
Yeah, it's fierce. I mean, I can't remember too many. There was a few interviews that I did, and they all brought that up, saying, "Oh, so you used to play for Millwall?" I was like, "Yeah, but I got released." So it's yeah, so the West Ham fans don't hate me to start with. It was
so
no, it was a perfect move for me at the time, and it's a fantastic club.
yeah, because it was the record fee for them at the time, wasn't it? Was there any pressure going into it, or did you, as you said before, you knew you obviously your performance shown that you'd done well in before, and that kind of as long as you do what you know you can do, could you, or was there added pressure?
There's 100% added pressure. Yeah, 100%. You can't go in like you. Like, to me, obviously, I knew how big a club West Ham was, but when you're actually in it, and I remember signing. I was club record fee. That you're in central London. You're everything's magnified. The press, the media, everything's magnified, and
Yeah.
there is 100% added pressure. But for me, my last season at Wolves and my first season at West Ham, I'd put in the most crosses in Europe, most successful crosses in Europe for both seasons.
Oh,
So
wow.
I was very pleased with the way that I was performing, and
Yeah.
ultimately the second year at West Ham, Andy Carroll signed for a club record fee, so the pressure was off me.
I was about to say that was a real club record fee. I was about to say, yeah.
So no, all jokes aside, it was a massive pressure added on. But for me, I didn't pick any fee that was paid for me.
Yeah.
I can only do what I can do, and I gave it absolutely everything, and I performed to the highest I could perform.
I was about to say it's only because you hear in some press conferences when players sign, they say, "Oh, there's no pressure. Kind of, I'm just going to come here and do." I didn't know whether really behind there they're screaming, going, "Help! This is get me out."
100%. I probably said exactly the same thing. Oh, is there added pressure? Well, no, because I didn't ask for the fee, didn't do that, but everyone is looking at you going, you're the club record fee, we need to see something from you. So
Yeah.
you have to perform, you have to go out and do it. And as I said, being in central London, West Ham, the fans are so passionate, it's magnified as well. There is added pressure, and I'm not going to tell you there's not.
Yeah. How do you look back then on your West Ham years? Do you think it went exactly to how you were hoping, or what would you
I
say
think the
looking
first
back?
I think the first 3 years, yeah. For a club that's just been promoted for their first season to finish 10th in the Premier League is fantastic. Absolutely amazing achievement. I think we finished 10th. I think it was 10th, 13th, 12th, something like that, or 10th, 12th, 13th, something like that. I think for the first 3 years, and I pretty much played week in, week out. So I was really pleased. I think after that, unfortunately, the Sam decided to sort of tweak the formation and didn't play with wingers in the end. He played with like a diamond shape, and I ended up sort of being sat on the bench for pretty much the whole season. I think I played like 11 games or something, and I can't do that. I gave it absolutely everything. I trained ridiculously hard. I did running after every single game to keep my fitness, but I didn't want to just sit on the bench and not play. So the following season, when Sam actually went and Slaven Bilic came in, we actually were in the Europa League qualifying stages, and obviously the lads that had been playing week in, week out had the extra time off for the summer. So to do
Yeah.
the qualifying rounds, like me and a couple of the other lads that hadn't really played, we'd we got called in early and we played in the qualifying rounds, and I played really well. I did really well. Slaven Bilic was a brilliant manager. I really liked his training sessions. I really liked the way he was as a person and the way he came about everything. And then had a really, really good conversations with him. He liked the way I played. We started the season. I think I played in the first 5 games or 4 or 5 games of the season. But I came on the last 30 minutes, 30, 25, 30, and I just sort of had a really honest conversation with him. Was like, look, can you guarantee that I'm going to sort of be playing? And he was like, look, I really want you to stay. I think you've seen you're going to be playing. You've played in every game, but I can't guarantee you're going to start. And for me, it was like literally an hour and a half before the deadline closed and transfer deadline day, and I had a call from Norwich, and they obviously wanted me to go on loan. And for me, I just couldn't get my head around being sat on the bench every week. I wanted to go and play football, and the opportunity came, and I took it. And obviously, Bilic wanted me to stay, but could understand why. And that's ultimately what happened.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I sort of completely get where you're coming from, because obviously the frustration, you just want to get the minutes in, don't you? You want to do what you love, play football. And if Norwich were offering that,
handle. Yeah, I couldn't. I did all of the training Monday to Friday, and then you don't play on a Saturday. It's you're preparing for your job, but not actually getting to do it. It's hard to do, and everyone just thinks, anyone on the outside just looks in and goes, oh, but he's getting paid to do. It's not about the money. I wanted to go and play football. That's what I've always wanted to do. So for me, it was about wanting to go and play and enjoy playing football and prove to everyone why I should be going to play football.
Yeah. And so then when you did do the originally the loan move, it started off then at Norwich.
Yeah.
Kind of, did you, when you were playing there, did you really feel kind of at home and that you could stay here or on further, or how did it kind of all roll on?
I think, you look at it, my debut is like, it's not what dreams are made of. I went there, I think I trained sort of 1 day or something like that, and then played, and, we won. I scored, played really well. It was just the dream start. I thought this is going to be absolutely incredible. I played my second game, I scored, we won. I was like, this is just the perfect sort of scenario for me getting back in. I think if you see the clip and even the pictures of my goal on my debut, you just see the emotion of scoring. I was just like,
I've seen the picture. I haven't seen the clip. I've seen the picture.
It's just that was me just being like, I wanted to go out and show everyone what I was about, because I'd been sat on the bench and not really featured, and that was all of them sort of months and months have gone by. I've not been able to go and do what I love to do, and that was sort of the outcry, I suppose, of getting able to go and do it. And it was just the dream start. Played, I think I played the first sort of 10 games or something, and we were absolutely flying, doing really well. I was playing really well. Team was doing really well. And then I decided to basically tackle for the first time in my whole career, and it was a block tackle against Yaya Toure, and it just didn't end well for me.
I say that a full Yaya Toure coming towards you. Oh, it's not. Yeah, no,
it wasn't good. And unfortunately for me, it was that was the start of a really difficult spell.
Specifically, then, what was the injury then that you kind of came from it?
So I did my MCL. I rehabbed it, got back playing in about 10 weeks, I think. But my knee was never right. I played the rest of the season, but I couldn't really kick the ball properly with my right foot. It was hurting every time I was sort of trying to whip a ball in, which was my whole, crossing was my sort of job in the team. So to cut back on my right and whip balls in, it was killing me. I had injections all through the season to try and get me through. I had injections all through the summer, and I just couldn't do it anymore. It was killing me. So they went in to just do like exploratory surgery, and then they realised that my medial wasn't attached properly. So I had to have the surgery, and then I got myself back from that, which is difficult, not difficult to get back, but difficult in, you're working so hard to get yourself back and to prove to everyone. And then first training session, I got the ball cut inside a shot and got absolutely smashed on my ankle. And I was like in bits, but I was like, no, it's my first training session back. I'm just cracking on.
Yeah.
Had scans and it was just like, oh no, it's just inflammation. So I had an injection. I then waited for the next international break, had another injection. I was training, but absolutely in bits. Couldn't really train properly, but was just cracking on because I'd missed so much football.
Yeah.
And then I then got to the end of that season and was like, I'm in absolute agony. Had exploratory surgery again on my ankle. And then if you sort of can understand on a scan, when you took a image of my cartilage and my ankle, it was all like that. And everyone was just like, oh, it just looks inflamed. It's all like inflamed everything. But as soon as they went in and touched the cartilage, it all fell off. So it wasn't attached, but on the scan, it was sort of sat there. But when you touched it, it all just moved. So I had like an area of like 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters on the top of my talus and on the bottom of my, I think it's your fib. I can't remember which way around it was, where I had no cartilage. So it was just bone on bone. And I had what's classed as a microfracture of my ankle, where they sort of drill holes into the bone on each bit and it bleeds. And then that is your sort of, that is your cartilage as such. It's your, So that's how the operation I had. And unfortunately for me, it took me a good 8-9 months to get back. And I actually, I was getting told in points of that I wasn't going to play. That I was going to have to retire. And it was the most difficult sort of couple of years of in my life. At that point, I just had I had my son with my wife, which was absolutely incredible. But then I was sort of up in Norwich and my wife and son were back down south, and I was sort of in 6 days a week working to try and get myself back fit. And it was a very difficult, physically and emotionally, at them times, very dark times. But I was never, if anyone you've ever met knows me personally, I was never going to be told that I'm going to have to retire. I was always going to go out on my my own terms. And I worked extremely hard. I managed somehow to get myself through all of that and got out the other side and managed to get myself fit. And at that point, I had a really good relationship with Daniel Farker, who at the time Norwich were flying in the Championship, and he even says, like, I spoke to him, like, he was like, you the way you play would have been perfect for his system and the way he plays. But he was like, I can't sort of put you in now. They're absolutely flying. How am I going to tell someone that's been playing every week that you're going to come in? And he was like at that point, it was coming to sort of January, and they were like, whether I was going to go out on loan or stay or do whatever, because I knew my contract was up in the summer, and I knew that I wasn't, nothing was ever going to happen after that. So we had a really good conversation, and he come out and basically said, look, if you're asking me as a manager, do I want you to go out on loan? He would say no, because you're a fantastic character around the place. I want, and player, I want you to stay here and be a part of it. But if you're asking me as a friend, and I think you should go out and play football and get your sort of career back on track. So right there and then, that was it. I went and I went on loan to Warsaw and went and got back to what I do best and played football.
That's brilliant though from him to tell you that though. Again, it's the honesty thing that you spoke about with Mick McCarthy. That's brilliant for a manager to do that, because you hear of stories where managers keep players just on the fringe of the squad just in case. But to be able to do that and to get back from all those injuries is insane. I'm still got images in my head now of your ankle.
I missed out that I had to also have surgery. I had IT band friction syndrome. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
I've not heard
because
of that.
I had all my operations on my right side, all on my right leg, my mechanics sort of changed. So my running style, everything sort of changed. So I picked up what's called IT band friction syndrome, and it was like having a knife, daggered into your knee every time you ran on it. And so I had to have surgery on that. So that was my during that spell as well. So it was, I think I had 3 surgeries in 2 years, something like that.
Oh, wow. So to come
It
back
was
from
very
all of that,
difficult.
though, that's got to be a lot of mental strength, as well as, obviously, as you said.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
the side that everyone else doesn't see. I was fortunate in the sense that I've got a very, my family and friends are amazing. My teammates at the time, I say fortunate. I was fortunate that at the time at Norwich, Louis Thompson, he ruptured his Achilles. I say fortunate. It's not for him, not for him, obviously, but for us to be able. He was obviously a long-term injury, and I was a long-term injury, and for us we actually worked together every day. So, some days when you're not feeling it, you're tired, you're a bit down in the dumps, you're whatever. He was able to be like, "No, come on, let's go, let's go and do this bike, and let's go and do the gym session." And other days he'd be feeling like that, and I'll be like, "No, come on," and you'd be able to bounce off each other, and you just get yourself through it. And obviously the physio department and the only bit that's difficult is obviously the gym is always facing out to the training pitches, so all you're doing is watching the other lads train. So it's demoralising. But that's the way, and it makes you gets you physically and mentally stronger, I think.
Yeah, I was about to say, you can look back at it now and think, like, it's great that you did come back from that, and you still then, as you said, you went out on loan, and was it Warsaw the club you went to after that?
Yeah.
So the fact you still went to,
I remember my first, I remember my first game. I went there. It was a cup game away at Bolton or something, and I'd not played for a couple of years. In a competitive game, and my first game, I went there, went straight in and started. And after about 10 minutes, I got my first assist. I was like, this is just, it's just amazing to get back out there. It was just fantastic to get back to being out on the pitch when obviously I've been told I wasn't going to then get back and then to get my first assist and away it went. So it was great.
Yeah. So after that loan period, as you said, you knew nothing was going to go with Norwich. Where was your head at? Where were you what were you thinking? Were you thinking of carrying on or going back closer to home with your family?
Yes, I was definitely, I was moving back home. I was 100% moving back home. My wife was pregnant then with our second, so it was like we were just renovating the house to move in. That was our sort of forever home, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I was always moving home. I got sort of, I suppose, let down by a couple of clubs that had promised me something, and then at the last minute had not, and it's very disappointing.
Yeah.
But that's football at the end of the day. So at that point, I started doing a few podcasts, do a few bit of media work, and was still obviously training and ready to roll. And then I got a call out of the blue from a mobile number, and I answered it and was like, he's like, "Oh, hi, it's Martin Tyler." And I was like, I know the voice, yeah. I was like, "Oh, like, what's he wanting me to do at Sky?" Because I'd done a few media bits. I was thinking, "Oh, this could be great." And he was like, "I don't know if you know, but I'm the assistant manager at Woking." I was like, "What? This is incredible. I did not know that." And then obviously he was like, "I know you grew up around the corner," because I grew up in Guildford.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. I played for Guildford City, and I was at Meadow Sports, which backs onto the stadium pretty much.
Yeah.
So he was like trying to sort of say, "Look, we'd love you to come down," and that we got a game. I think it was like the next day against like QPR under 23s, if you want to just keep your fitness going. And I was like, and I was like, "Do you know what? I just want to play football." So I went down the next day. I played the game, really enjoyed it. And then I met the manager, spoke to the manager. He was like showing me around like Meadow Sports where I used to play. I was like, "Look, you don't have to sell me the club at all. It's a fantastic club. I'm local. It was part-time. It was just a perfect opportunity for me to carry on playing football and to be able to be at home with my wife and kids and also to to be able to do other bits and pieces. So it was just about time. It's a great club, and that was it.
Yeah. And that was just pre-COVID then? That was just before
Yeah,
COVID, I'm presuming?
it was because I made my debut. I came on last 30 minutes of the game. I scored with pretty much my first touch. It was my second touch.
You have a habit of
Scored and
doing
then
this,
got
by
an
the sounds
assist.
of it.
Yeah, I know. I scored and got an assist in my first game after 30 minutes, and we won the game 2-0. The next game, I come straight from the hospital, just had my daughter, came on for the last 30 minutes, got an assist. So I played 60 minutes, got a goal and 2 assists, and then season cancelled.
I was about to say, that's such awkward timing, because who knows what could have come from that.
It just sums me up. Yeah, I was like, it just sums my sort of last couple of years up. I just got back playing, was just flying, and then a pandemic hits.
I was about to say, it's such awkward timing, especially for a club like Woking. You've just seen across the country what it's done to a lot of clubs. Sort of horrible timing. I do honestly feel for you. I didn't realise you were in such good form. Like you can take that. Yeah. You can take that through for the future now. So have you got plans then? Have you got plans then after COVID to carry on with Woking and carry on this form, or?
Yeah, well, obviously, we were lucky that the National League carried on. So I've been playing Woking this year. Once the pandemic, like sort of the first lockdown finished, I re-signed for them for this season. And yeah, it's been great to just, as I said, to get back to going and playing football, and that's all I've ever wanted to do. It's for the love of the game. I know that's a very much of a cliche, but I can tell you it is just purely I wanted to go and enjoy playing football, and I wasn't ready to finish.
Yeah, no, I do get you. And a lot of people on this channel, it is built mainly around non-league. So obviously COVID has kind of put that on hold a bit, but no, so a lot of the fans will love that, because I'll go all around the country watching non-league games and filming there. So everyone will love the fact that you're definitely back in the non-league stuff. And it is especially when you see it grassroots level like that, the lower league, it really is all about the game, isn't it? Kind of, there's none of the outside world really affects the clubs.
Yeah, I have to give obviously the lads at Woking a massive compliment, because when I first went there, it's part-time football. Lads have got full-time jobs, and the commitment levels are incredible. They travel from God knows where they travel hours to get to training on an evening, and from as soon as they're there to when they leave, they're 100% committed. 100, it's ridiculous. The attitude of everyone is first class. So. It's been great to just get back to playing football and enjoying it and be local, and it's a great club.
Yeah, no, okay. I can only imagine it's probably great coming all the way back, doing a kind of a full circle and ending up back where you started, which is it's quite nice to see. And just before we finish, then I always ask this final question: reflecting on then, looking back then at your kind of your career, have you got any regrets looking back? Anything you'd change if you could?
I mean, I always say, everything happens for a reason. I don't regret or wouldn't change anything. Although I probably wouldn't go in for a tackle with Yaya Toure, because that was the start of it all, unfortunately for me. So I say all of that, but I probably wouldn't have gone in for that tackle.
Okay, then anyone who's watching this, then any advice? Do not go in for a challenge with Yaya Toure. Then we can end it on that note.
Definitely not a block tackle for sure. No.
But no, thank you for coming on the channel. I really do genuinely appreciate it. And hopefully I can get you on soon in the future, maybe, or I can come see you at Woking. Hopefully we'll wait and see then in the future, see what it has to hold. But yeah, thank you for coming on the channel, and thanks everyone for watching. Please like, subscribe, everyone. Thank you for watching. BucketHatSam over and out. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.